More and more men are deleting their dating apps. You can almost hear the collective sigh of relief as fingers hover over the uninstall button, and then tap freedom. But it's not because they've given up. It's not a white flag of surrender to loneliness. They're making a strategic choice, a conscious decoupling from a system that has stopped serving them. They're finding that a life free from the constant pressure, the relentless expense, and the deep emotional drain of modern dating isn't just an alternative, it's a massive, life-altering upgrade. This isn't a movement born from bitterness or anger, it's about clarity. It's about a quiet, powerful revolution where men are reclaiming their time, their money, their energy, and their very sense of self. For decades, maybe even centuries, the cultural script has been crystal clear. A man's life is somehow incomplete, a story half written, without a partner. Society, movies, music, and our own families have reinforced the idea that romantic partnership is the ultimate prize. But that script is being ripped to shreds. A growing wave of men aren't just single, they're intentionally single. They have looked at the game, understood the rules, and have made the calculated decision to walk off the field. They're logging off, tuning out the noise, and in the resulting silence they are discovering a profound truth. A life you build for yourself, brick by intentional brick, is far more rewarding and structurally sound than one spent constantly chasing validation from others. In this video, we're going to break down exactly why millions of men are quietly opting out of the dating game for good, and more importantly, how they're building happier, wealthier, and more peaceful lives as a result. We'll dissect the broken economics of modern romance, a system where the investment often feels punishingly one-sided. We will explore the psychological exhaustion of the digital dating world, an environment that can feel more like a meat market than a meeting place. And finally, we will celebrate the ultimate reward of choosing yourself first. This is the story of how men are discovering that the greatest prize isn't finding the one, but becoming the one for themselves. The first and most logical reason men are walking away is simple. They've done the math, and the numbers just don't add up anymore. For a huge number of men, modern dating has become a venture with a terrible, even negative return on investment. That's not being cynical or cold, it's a financial and emotional reality. In any other area of life, when an investment consistently demands more than it gives, the smart, logical move is to pull your assets out and reinvest them where they can actually grow. And that's exactly what's happening on a massive scale. Let's talk about the most tangible asset first: money. Cold, hard cash. A BMO survey found that the average American adult spends a staggering $2,279 on dates every single year. Let that sink in. That's nearly $200 a month, every month. Each individual date has an all-in cost of nearly $168 when you factor in everything from the pre-date preparations, maybe a new shirt, a haircut, to the transportation, the meal itself, the drinks, and the tip. For the younger generation, it's even higher, with Gen Z spending around $194 per night out. That's one evening. Now place that spending against our current economic backdrop. We're living through a period of relentless high inflation and a cost of living crisis that makes just getting by a significant challenge for millions. The price of everything, especially eating out, has shot up, making the classic dinner and drinks date a serious financial commitment. It is no surprise then that the same BMO survey revealed that more than 4 in 10 uncoupled Americans have had to adjust a date for financial reasons, 44%, and over a quarter have been forced to cancel one entirely because of the sheer cost, 27%. For a man who is trying to build a future, diligently saving for a down payment on a home, investing in his career, or just trying to climb out from under a mountain of student debt, This kind of spending can feel like active self-sabotage. It feels like taking the bricks you need to build your foundation and throwing them into a river. Think about what that $2,300 a year could be instead. Over 5 years, that's over $11,000, not even counting potential investment growth. That could be a career-boosting certification that unlocks a higher salary bracket for the rest of your life. It could be the seed money for a side hustle that eventually becomes a full-time business. It could be a solid investment portfolio, quietly compounding in the background, building real, tangible wealth that provides security and freedom. Men are asking a simple, logical question. What is the return on this investment? They see thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours spent on dates that so often lead to a dead end, a ghosting, or just a mutual lack of connection. They compare that uncertain, often negative outcome to the guaranteed life-changing return of investing that same money and time in themselves. The choice becomes painfully obvious. It's a strategic reallocation of capital, a CEO move for your own life. But the cost isn't just financial, and this is a critical point. The drain on time and emotional energy is arguably even more severe, and the burnout is real. A Forbes health survey delivered a shocking statistic. A staggering 79% of Gen Z users report experiencing dating app burnout. This isn't just feeling a bit tired of swiping. It's a state of profound emotional and psychological exhaustion from the relentless, gamified, and often dehumanizing cycle of it all. Think about the time investment alone. The average user spends around 51 minutes a day on dating apps. That adds up to over 300 hours a year. Let's put 300 hours into perspective. That is the equivalent of working a part-time job for 2 months straight. It's more than enough time to learn a new language to a conversational level, to get in the best physical shape of your life, or to make monumental strides in a passion project or creative endeavor. Instead, that precious, non-refundable time is poured into an activity that, for a vast number of men, feels demoralizing and fruitless. This is the emotional side of the ROI calculation, where the losses can be the most damaging. Studies have shown a clear correlation between heavy dating app use and higher rates of depression, anxiety, and psychological distress. The constant stream of micro-rejections, the sudden emptiness of being ghosted, the pervasive feeling of being disposable and judged on a superficial level, it all takes a heavy toll on a person's spirit. It's no wonder that user engagement on these platforms is falling, and major players in the industry are seeing their user numbers decline. In fact, recent data from analytics firm AppsFlyer shows that a jaw-dropping 69% of dating apps are deleted within the first month. People are trying the system and quickly realizing it's not working for them. When you feel like you're not just investing, but actively losing your most precious assets, your time, your money, and your mental well-being in a game that feels rigged, the only winning move is to stop playing. You're not broken for feeling exhausted by it all. You're accurately assessing a system that for many is fundamentally broken. By stepping away, men aren't losing. They're cutting their losses and starting the vital work of reinvesting in a guaranteed win themselves. The second major reason for this exodus is the wholesale rejection of the impossible and often contradictory standards of modern dating. Men are walking away not because they are lazy or unwilling to be good partners, but because they are tired of the constant, exhausting performance required just to be considered worthy of a first date. The process today feels less like building a genuine connection and more like a never-ending job interview for a position with an unclear description and an impossibly demanding boss. A key part of this is the pervasive checklist culture, amplified to an extreme by online dating. In the age of the swipe, complex, nuanced human beings are reduced to a series of cold stats on a digital card: height, income, job title, alma mater. A good, kind, decent man who is working hard and living with integrity can feel like he's been filtered out and discarded by an algorithm before he even gets a chance to show his personality, his humor, or his heart. The standards for men have soared to a point where being a normal, average man is treated like a fundamental failing. This creates a brutal and psychologically damaging hierarchy where men feel they are constantly being measured against an idealized phantom, a composite character who doesn't actually exist. You're supposed to have the income of a CEO, the chiseled body of a professional fitness model, the emotional availability and validation skills of a seasoned therapist, and the adventurous, travel-filled lifestyle of a social media influencer. It's an utterly impossible standard, and men are tired of competing in a contest they feel they are designed to lose from the start. It's incredibly telling that one survey found 44% of uncoupled Americans believe their net worth directly affects their dating prospects. The pressure is immense. This isn't about men being unwilling to better themselves. The desire for self-improvement is a core part of positive masculinity. The crucial difference is the motivation. It's about wanting to go to the gym, advance in your career, and become more emotionally intelligent for yourself, for your own health, freedom, and fulfillment, not to satisfy someone else's arbitrary and ever-shifting checklist. The freedom of opting out is the freedom from being constantly judged and measured on superficial metrics. It's the profound peace that comes from knowing your intrinsic worth isn't determined by a number on a pay stub or your height in inches. This performance trap goes deeper than just stats on a profile. It's riddled with dizzying contradictions that create a constant state of anxiety. Men are told to be strong and decisive, but then also to be soft and vulnerable. But be careful, not too vulnerable, or you'll be seen as weak. You're expected to lead and initiate, but don't be too assertive, or you'll be labeled as aggressive or controlling. You're often expected to pay for everything, upholding a very traditional gender role. But in the next breath, you're told that those same traditional gender roles are outdated and toxic. It's a minefield of damned if you do, damned if you don't scenarios. This pressure forces men into a state of inauthentic performance, like an actor on a stage, constantly trying to calibrate their behavior to a set of rules that are unwritten, unspoken, and always shifting. It's emotionally and mentally draining. Many feel that the labor in modern dating, the planning, the initiating, the financial burden, and the emotional risk of rejection is deeply and unfairly asymmetrical. It feels less like two people building a potential partnership and more like a one-man audition for a skeptical panel of judges. If this is resonating with you, and you think this is a vital conversation that needs to be heard, do me a favor and hit that like button. It helps tell the algorithm that these perspectives matter and that this discussion needs a bigger platform. And if you want to keep challenging the outdated narrative, make sure you subscribe. Walking away from dating for so many is a powerful rejection of this constant role-playing. It's a man looking at the stage, the script, and the judges and saying, "No, I refuse to twist myself into the shape you demand just to be seen as worthy. My worth is inherent." It is a profound statement of self-worth and a courageous decision to live authentically, free from the trap of endless performance. This leads us to the most powerful and constructive part of this entire movement. Men aren't just walking away from something. They're walking towards something far better. They are consciously reallocating their most valuable resources, their time, their energy, their money, and their focus, away from a frustrating and often fruitless chase for external approval, and toward the deeply fulfilling and tangible work of building their own lives. This isn't a story of loneliness. It's one of strategic and purposeful solitude. The modern dating scene, especially its online incarnation, can be a deeply dehumanizing experience. It's a system that, by its very design, reduces people to products to be consumed or discarded with a flick of a thumb. This process is not benign. Studies have shown it is correlated with negative mental health outcomes, including increased social anxiety, depression, and lower self-esteem. The algorithms themselves are often designed with a cynical goal: to keep you swiping, to keep you engaged and frustrated on the app, not to help you connect meaningfully and leave. Faced with this digital soul crusher, men are consciously logging off. And what they're doing with that reclaimed energy and time is the real story here. They're turning their focus inward and methodically strengthening the foundational pillars of a strong, independent, and fulfilling life. First and most visibly is physical health. For these men, the gym becomes a sanctuary. It's no longer a place you go to build a body to attract others, but a place to build discipline, mental toughness, and resilience for oneself. The progress is honest and directly tied to the effort you put in, a refreshingly clear and fair equation compared to the arbitrary and often confusing rules of modern dating. The goal shifts from aesthetics to capability, from looking good to feeling powerful and alive. Second, they are aggressively investing in their financial future and their career. That money once spent on a string of expensive, forgettable dates is now being channeled into stocks, into high-yield savings accounts, into learning new skills, and into building business ventures. They are building financial sovereignty, which provides a level of security, freedom, and peace of mind that no relationship can ever guarantee. They are pursuing a mission and a purpose which generates a deep and unshakable sense of identity that isn't dependent on another person's approval. Third, and perhaps most importantly, they are rebuilding and strengthening their male friendships. For too long, our culture has relegated these deep, supportive bonds to a secondary status, something to be pushed aside in the primary hunt for romantic love. Men are rediscovering the immense value of a strong band of brothers, a community of men who support, challenge, and understand each other on a fundamental level. This network provides a sense of belonging and camaraderie that is one of the most valuable assets a man can have. Yet it is often the first thing sacrificed on the altar of a new relationship. Finally, they are pursuing genuine hobbies, passions, and interests with newfound vigor. Learning an instrument, mastering a craft like woodworking, learning to code, or traveling the world alone. These activities do more than just pass the time. They build a life that is genuinely interesting and complete on its own. They are building a wealth of experiences, stories, and skills that make their life valuable to them. This is the essence of building your kingdom. When you build a life that you genuinely love, a life filled with purpose, good health, financial stability, and strong friendships, the desperate need for a romantic partner completely evaporates. A relationship moves from being a perceived necessity for happiness to being an optional addition to an already complete and fulfilling life. You stop looking for another person to complete you and instead become a complete person, looking, perhaps, to share your abundance with another whole person. That is the ultimate position of power and peace. So what we're really seeing here is not a trend of men giving up. Framing it that way is a fundamental misunderstanding of the movement and misses the point completely. This is a quiet, grassroots movement of men giving up on a broken system. It is a logical, rational, and self-respecting response to a dating culture that, for many, demands far too much and offers far too little in return. It's a strategic retreat from a battle that is not worth fighting. First, we saw how the math just doesn't work anymore. The terrible return on investment, financially, emotionally, and in terms of a man's precious time, makes modern dating a bad deal for countless men who are trying to build a stable future. Second, we looked at the profound relief that comes with rejecting the performance trap. Men are emotionally and psychologically exhausted by the impossible checklists, the shifting goalposts, and the contradictory expectations. Opting out is a powerful act of reclaiming their own authenticity and integrity. And most importantly, we saw that this is an act of construction, not of retreat. It is an inward turn. Men are reallocating their focus to build their own kingdoms, their physical and mental health, their financial sovereignty, their life's purpose, and their brotherhood. They are choosing a guaranteed return on investment. This profound shift redefines what a successful life looks like for a man. It powerfully argues that a man's life is not a waiting room for a relationship. His life is the main event. The ultimate prize is the life you build for yourself, the peace you cultivate within yourself, the strength you forge in the fires of discipline and self-reliance. This isn't about bitterness. It's about clarity. It's a strategic victory, and for many it is the discovery that a life of strategic solitude is not empty, but profoundly full. Any relationship that may come later is simply a bonus, an addition to an already great life, not the main prize. What has your experience been with this? Are you one of the men who has chosen to opt out of the modern dating scene? And if so, what have you built instead? What have you learned in the process? Share your story in the comments below. This is a powerful and necessary conversation, and your perspective is a vital part of it. Let's learn from each other. Subscribe for more content that challenges the narrative and empowers men to build their best lives on their own terms. And until next time, keep building your kingdom.